Now I'm doing something really different. Well, that is different. But when I went to Israel, and I'd never been there before, I must admit, but when I went there, I decided I loved hummus. Now, up until going to Israel, I'd sort of always thought of it was a bit dry and a bit boring and all that kind of thing. When I went there, I loved it. So that said, I'm not making one like the Israelis. I'm actually making one with pumpkin in the style of hummus. And I love this because it goes beautiful. Well, I love pumpkin anyway, don't I? Yes, I do. And it goes beautifully with a really nice rump of lamb. It's a bit fatty, I know that, there's a bit of fat on it, but if your butcher's good, he'll trim it pretty well for you. First of all, for a pumpkin hummus, what I'm doing is I'm sauteing half an onion, which I've finely chopped, and a couple of cloves of garlic. And then 300 grams of pumpkin, just chopped up fairly roughly, but a good pumpkin like a Queensland Blue or a Jap or one of those ones. If you get a really nice butternut, that's all right. But I always find with butternuts, they can be a bit boring, can't they? Yes, Ian, they can. All right. We will add some salt to that, and we will also add a decent amount of pepper. But we are going to put some harissa, which is a Moroccan spice mix in at the end, so don't put too much. So we're just tossing that around a little, and to that we're then going to add, to start off with, about half a cup of veggie stock. Packet's fine, and we're going to cook that until that pumpkin is really, really tender. While that's happening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the chickpeas, which is 75 grams of drained chickpeas, canned ones, of course. We'll throw those in too. And just mix that up, and as I said, we'll cook that until it's tender, adding some more stock if need be. Now just have a look at my lamb rump. See, he's trimmed that pretty well. There's a little bit there, you can't alter that, otherwise it falls apart if you take that out. But that's a lamb rump, and what I'm going to do is make a nice little marinade for that, and I'm going to marinate it. Oh, look, 2 hours would be fine. Overnight's even better. Juice of half a lemon, olive oil. Now I'm just going to use ground coriander and ground cumin for this, but you can use coriander seeds and cumin seeds. Do toast them first, just in a dry pan until they're aromatic. About half a teaspoon of that, that's ground coriander, and half a teaspoon of ground cumin, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a good half teaspoon of that, a little bit of harissa. Now you buy the harissa, it's a Moroccan spice mix, and we just put a little bit of that in there. A nice flavour to it. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. Not too much salt, because the salt draws the juice out of the lamb, as does the lemon juice, so be a little careful. And we just mix that up and just have a taste. Oh, that's nice. Fairly acidic, but it's nice. And then we put that lamb rump in there, toss it around a few times, and we leave that 2 hours or overnight. I've always wanted to do this. And here's one that I did before. As you can see, guys, I use coriander seeds and cumin seeds for that, but I'm just going to add a little bit more of that juice to there. But anyway, that's my one I did beforehand. As I said, I always wanted to do that. So we'll come back, we'll keep an eye on that because we want those to be very tender, and we'll come back and finish this off once the hummus is nearly ready. All right, guys. Now the lamb, which of course is sitting here resting, just to tell you what I've done with it, all I did was to put it into an oiled hot pan, seal it on both sides, then put it into an oven, 210 degrees, and it took about 14 minutes. Now that's a 400 gram rump of lamb. Make sure you rest it. I've rested that for a few minutes, and just while that's happening, we will start talking about this pumpkin hummus. Now I've added an extra half cup of vegetable stock, so it's taken a whole cup of vegetable stock, and then we're just going to put it into our food processor. See, it's quite thick, which is good. Right, we'll add a few bits and pieces. First of all, because as you know, we are doing hummus, so of course hummus needs tahini, a couple of good spoons of tahini, a little bit more. Also the juice of half a lemon. We may need more lemon, we'll see how we go, but that's a nice juicy one. Also a good slurp olive oil. Now this is the thing when I went to Israel that I discovered with their hummus, which I hadn't seen here, is they put quite a lot of olive oil in it and a little bit of harissa and some salt, but we'll come back to the salt in a minute and we'll see how we're going. And a bit of pepper. All right. So I'm just whizzing this up until it's quite smooth, and then I'll have a taste and see how I'm going. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. Looks good. Maybe a little bit too much harissa. Perfect for me because I love spicy food, but maybe a little bit if you're not as mad keen on spicy food as I am. All right, let's just put some of this onto the plate. Now, with this 400 gram rump, I reckon it's mostly enough for two, unless you are very enthusiastic and hungry. And if you're really hungry, well, one. But there is enough there to serve two if you like, because there's enough of the hummus too. And I've also made this hummus with celeriac. Now, you know what celeriac? It's that big bulb that you see in the grocers in the winter season, and it's the root. It's celery root, so you can make it with that if you like. Right, now we've rested that, which is terribly important that you rest any red meat. And we're now going to have a look. Oh, look how tender that is. It is beautiful, nice and pink. Yeah, no, there is enough there for two. It's up to you guys. Just on the top there. Now that's for me to try. Oh, Iain. What a good cook I am. That is beautiful, guys. On the top, a la Israel, always a good slurp of good olive oil. Some baby herbs to go with that. To go with that, a lovely Spanish one. What have I got? A Tempranillo. Or when I say Spanish grape. And my dear mate, here he goes again. My dear mate, Mr. Neil Prentice, who chose this wine and said this would be perfect to go with this. He tells me that what you should do, and I know it's a sort of Moroccan-ish dish or Middle Eastern dish, but he reckons to go with this wine, which will go beautifully with this because it's got bold, spicy flavours, and he reckons that you should play Miles Davis vinyl, he said, because you can't get it on CD, and it's a Spanish, is it Flavours of Spain or something like that? Anyway, Miles Davis, all right. What a stupid idea. I'm only telling what he told me. Anyway, that is a special dish. So if you're feeling in the mood, that's for you guys.